Global financial infrastructure entering a new era as tokenized assets surge to 19 trillion by 2033. That's a headline that XRP Ripple put out recently. And you're hearing it from Stellar Lumens, you're hearing it from Circle, you're hearing it from everywhere that tokenized assets are going to change the game. On this week's news update, we're going to be talking about Ripple's ideas on tokenized assets. We'll dive deeper into what Stellar Lumens is talking about. And I'm also going to reveal to you how my Algorand node has been performing. Welcome back to the channel. My name is C. Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment and say what's good. All right, let's get started. Here it is. Here's the post from Ripple, Team Ripple putting out those nice articles, and they're talking about that global financial infrastructure entering the new era. So let's dive in deep and see what they're talking about. Here we go. We'll start with this. The financial world is undergoing a fundamental shift. A new report by Ripple, the leading provider of digital asset infrastructure for financial institutions, and Boston Consulting Group projects the market for tokenized real-world asset to grow from 0.6 trillion, that's basically half a trillion, today to 18.9 trillion by 2033. That's a lot of bread right there, and 9.4 trillion by 2030. It's kind of funny. You got 0.6, 18.9. We just gonna round up and say 19 trillion. So let's talk about what the report outlines: a three-phase evolution. Phase one, low risk adoption. Institutions tokenize familiar instruments like money market funds and bonds. We're seeing the tokenized treasuries on Ondo right now. And then you got phase two, institutional expansion, scaling into complex assets such as private credit and real estate. And then phase three, market transformation. Tokenization becomes embedded in financial and non-financial products. And obviously, when I bring up Ondo, we're talking about the early adopters like BlackRock, Fidelity, and JP Morgan. Really, really big there. And then again, key growth enablers. We have regulatory clarity in markets like the EU, UAE, Switzerland, right? And remember, Ripple got a license in the UAE. They got licenses all around the US. We know about the MiCA regulations. Stable coins are definitely involved in the EU. And then obviously Switzerland be getting it popping. Mature tech infrastructure, including wallets and custody platforms, strategic investments by banks and fintechs. Listen, I see it happening, y'all. We just have to prepare ourselves. This stuff has been building up for years. Now let's check out this Ripple post on X. It says, again, by 2033, a 0.6 trillion to 18.9 trillion shift is coming. And then we go, why? Regulation and institutional adoption, real world assets like bonds and real estate, faster interoperable financial infrastructure. Now let's check out this video.
Is reshaping financial markets, making assets more accessible, efficient, and secure. By streamlining transactions and enabling fractional ownership, tokenization reduces costs by up to 60% and accelerates settlement from days to seconds. After initial hesitation, financial institutions are now publicly embracing tokenization. With this momentum, by 2033, tokenized assets are projected to exceed 18.9 trillion and continue the growth. As adoption accelerates, network effects driven by efficiency gains, interoperability, and regulatory clarity will establish tokenization as a financial industry standard. Tokenization is not just a trend, it is the next evolution in finance. And it's happening now.
Again, that was the information from Ripple and that Boston Consulting Group. They out there making stuff happen, and I love these projections. Again, for us, if we can get in position as investors as content creators, as people who just involved, as this spreads out into the real world and becomes normalized, there's going to be a lot of people who benefit if you've been putting yourself in position. Now let's talk about it. Stellar Lumens also is adding on to this. It says Stellar sees 3 billion of real world assets coming on chain in 2025. They're talking about right now this year. The Stellar blockchain has made new partnerships with Paxos, Ondo, Interfuge, SG Forge. What to know? Go right here. The Stellar Development Foundation is aiming for a 10x increase in the value of real-world assets held on chain compared with last year, as well as existing partnerships with Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree. Stellar is working with, as we said, Ondo and Paxos. And then you got Stellar, a little highlight about Stellar. A super fast public blockchain said its plans to hold 3 billion in real world assets value and power 110 billion in RWA volume by end of 2025. So that's some big stuff right there. And obviously I can see it happening. We just talked about that with Ripple saying the same thing. These projections are all starting to line up. So here's a quote from Lauren. She's a VP of the Stellar Development Department. She says, we have a goal of powering 3 billion in real world asset value on Stellar in 2025. Then she goes, that would be more than a 10x increase from the 290 million in RWA we had in Stellar at the end of December 2024. But we already see a lot of growth happening on the network just in the first quarter alone. So remember, they was doing stuff in Ukraine. They're working with like the Mercy Corps, UN, payment infrastructure is happening everywhere. And I already talked to y'all about Algorand also working their collabs with Hisab Pay that is working with Mercy Corps out in Syria, Afghanistan. This tokenization of bills, payments, diamonds on Hedera. This is happening everywhere. This is dope. Now let's go and move on to Circle. Circle announcing Circle Payments. Announcing Circle Payments, a streamlined way for financial institutions to connect, orchestrating global money movement powered by stablecoins like USDC, the EURC for 24/7 real-time settlement. And then this is what's important right here is obviously the USDC and Euro, MiCA compliant. That's the compliance out in Europe. USDC Circle's out of the United States. All of this tokenization is going to have to get powered with some type of payment infrastructure. And then obviously Ripple got the RLUSD. Existing cross-border payments can be slow and expensive. CPN is designed to bring efficiencies to the payment system. With CPN, banks and payment providers can move money at internet speed using fully reserved digital dollars and euros. So kind of like Tether. It is not just faster, it is programmable, secure, and always reliable. And here we go. And then this is what's important. CPN, that Circle Payment Network, will support invoices, remittances, treasury services, payroll, and contractor payouts. Stuff is getting interesting. They say, we're not just building stable coins, we're building a modern financial infrastructure for global payments. I like what I see. So big shout out to Circle because they are really laying it down. And also as a stock, throw this one out there to y'all. Visa and MasterCard, but definitely Visa is being involved with all this payment stuff as well. They got their hand in the pot. So that just brings more legitimacy to Circle and things that they got going on there. Now, as we talk about stable coins, check this out. This is from Altcoin Daily. European Central Bank to launch CBDC by October of 2025. Let's listen.
We have a cutoff date, which is October. So October 2025, my governing council has to decide whether we move forward or not. So that's an important date. My strong hope is that by then, the European Parliament has passed the legislation that will support the technological work, the policy work, the unified rule book that we are working on so that we can launch.
They're getting it ready in Europe. Central bank digital currency. So they're definitely going to be bringing that to the table real soon. That's what they say. Should be interesting. It's a slightly different from a stable coin. From my understanding, they're going to be a lot more ways for them to control the money. The free world obviously wants, I would assume, a stable coin, but you never know. Businesses, governments, they might be interested. So if they launch this central bank digital currency, we might see a shift in everything. Either way, things are moving forward with blockchain technology. Now let's get to talk about some Algorand information here. Wow, from sarahjane.algo. We just had our very first Web3 masterclass session. And remember, I talked to y'all about this last week. A solid 500 plus people showed up live for the majority of the session. And we just a few hours later, with replays rolling in, we've already hit 1,000 plus attended. And then this is right here from DHN Crypto as well. Shout out to DHN. But this is one of the slides. Master the fundamentals, unlock Algorand's potential, transform ideas into reality, explore the world of NFTs and digital assets, and then 5 practical hands-on learning. So Algorand is cooking, and they're pushing to get more people involved in blockchain globally. Now let's talk about it. I know a lot of y'all want to hear this. So here's the update for my Algorand node that has roughly 30,000 algos. That's the minimums that you can do to run a node. And I am using Valar, the service provider, which was one of the startups in one of the hackathons recently. So they've been good. They've been legit. A lot of people are using Valar. So that's if you don't want to run your own node, you can basically contract out for a few algos, few USDC. They'll run the node for you. You set up a contract, set everything up. You don't have to do it on your own computer. So far, I'm in profit from that. It's pretty dope. So I've been basically running a node, as you see here, for 3 months, just about. And total rewards I've received is 406.057 algo. That's $87 roughly. 41 blocks that I've completed. And the most I've done was 3 blocks in one day, which that would give me the 29.777. And then max reward was 10.197 algo. That was my biggest block reward, and then 41 total. And then they break down all the averages, which is pretty dope. Average block per day, average block per month. It's all there. And then so you can see in February, I have produced 16 blocks and have received 159 algo at these prices, about $34. March, 16 blocks, 158 algo, roughly $34. And so far in April, 9 blocks. So it looked like it slowed down a little bit this month, but 16, 16, and 9 so far. And you can see the rewards history there, block history, and then block distribution by day and hour. But I think this is what the most important thing is right here. So the block is producing. I'm in profit. Not a lot of effort. Let's see these prices rise. Let me know if y'all have questions about Valar or more about this node, and we will talk about it. But again, y'all, the key here for this breaking news video is tokenization, real world assets being on the blockchain, us participating as a user, as a consumer, and as an investor. This is only going to get bigger, and I still feel like we are in the early innings. Y'all, let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.
Passive income, gold in my dental. Thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple.